Am I gonna...
Do you want to? Do you
Yeah,
not
I'll do
want?
it.
Okay, do it.
I nominate Caitlin.
To talk about RoboCop? I'll talk about RoboCop.
Well, we're not gonna summarize it, though, right?
Then what the fuck? What are we doing? I'm just introing.
I'll do a summary.
Okay.
Oh.
So you introduce it. Well, how about we act it out? How about we do a panto?
That doesn't work in radio.
I was gonna say it'll be interesting. Well, okay, sure. But are we...
I am the robot cop. I am not a robot yet, but I will be soon. This is more kabuki.
Yeah, I was about to say,
more
you're confusing panto with...
Beat poetry or something.
RoboCop. Sweet RoboCop. You were a cop, then you got shot. You lost your job and your life.
And your wife.
And your wife.
Hello, and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By 10 Forward number 10.
Wow.
Yes, as you may have guessed from all that chatter, today we are talking about RoboCop.
RoboCop.
What's the connection, you say? I mean,
Many.
technically
Myriad.
none but actors.
Everybody in this movie is in Star Trek.
Captain Jellicoe's here.
Yes.
Oh, being a
President
dick.
of the Federation?
Yep.
Red Foreman?
Yep.
Getting it done.
The helmsman or navigator of the USS Excelsior in Star Trek 3.
Yep.
And RoboCop himself. We haven't seen him yet in Star
And
Trek,
Ray
but we
Wise, the Mentakan, as we talked about.
will. Yeah, who was he in this? I didn't realize he was...
He was one of the
Leon
henchmen.
Nash,
He was
the
one
guy-
of the henchmen.
Well, there was the raver party that RoboCop had to go into
Yeah.
and found him
Was that
at.
the one with the black hair?
Yeah,
Black
grabbed by
hair.
the-
Yeah,
Okay.
they pulled him by his
Face
hair.
made of elastics.
You know what he looked like? He reminded me of like kind of a taller, wider Kevin from the fucking... Oh my god.
Good story, Kate.
No, Kids in the Hall.
Oh,
Yeah,
Kevin
a little
McDonald?
bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Kevin McDonald's.
Yeah, so
Kevin McDonald's more attractive.
He played
Well,
the
that's
devil
not
in a
saying much, but
short-lived
yes.
television series called Reaper.
Never seen it.
Die.
Ah.
Here's
So,
the
yes.
other connection, though. Here's the other connection, is we learn a lot about how if robot-like people should have rights, which we
True.
do an awful lot with data
Yeah, there
and
we go.
exocomps and such.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're just talking today about the 1987 original, none of the sequels, not the remake, not the cartoon, none of that shit. Just
Not the
good,
porn parody.
pure,
The one and only
Which is
uncut
RoboCop.
RoboCop.
Uncut.
Uncut RoboCop.
No, I was going for a cocaine joke.
Oh, wow.
Well, we were going for the foreskin joke.
Yeah, clearly.
They usually do.
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun. All right, so I don't think we're gonna do a summary of this.
No, it's RoboCop.
No, wait, but here's the summary. A guy's a cop. He gets dead. They make him into a RoboCop. The end. That's the whole summry. I mean, there's more to it, but we'll talk about that.
So, I mean, the thing about this movie is that
It's a comedy.
it's right. Like
well, it's a satire.
it's a satire, but I think, like many things, satire is lost on people, and so if
On
you
stupid people? Is
well,
that what you
just
meant
like
to say?
I think because it kind of became like Rambo. It's like the Rambo effect, right? So like First Blood was definitely a social commentary on war and veterans issues and post-Vietnam problems in the United States. And then Rambo 2 is a fucking crazy shoot-'em-up action movie. But then this movie is kind of the same thing, where like this movie is like a satire about capitalism and greed and excess and all these societal issues,
Which our fucking current administration has taken as a how-to guide.
Yeah,
by the way.
no
Well,
shit.
because an 80s movie bad guy is president.
Yeah.
That, literally, Old Biff.
Oh,
That was an 80s movie.
Was it?
Wasn't it?
I don't know. I can't remember when that movie came out.
2 came out in 89, so yes.
Okay.
Just barely then.
Yeah, and then the sequels, if you watch the sequels, it's like not any... it's all lost.
But
it's all done.
is it the same gratuitous, like hilarious gratuitous violence, or is it like more realistic?
I don't honestly remember. I remember in the third movie, he has a jetpack, and he has to like help this society of like people that live in the sewers of Detroit.
The Rat King?
see,
Kinda.
I'm assuming you watched the uncut version of the movie, one of the director's cut releases.
I don't know. I was gonna say, you gotta ask
because it
Chris.
includes all of the gratuitous violence.
So much violence.
Was that the one we watched?
Yeah, that's one we watched because
man.
in theaters in 1987, they got like 13 X ratings because every time they brought it back, they'd be like, "It is it is so violent. You're getting an X rating."
So did I tell you guys about the remake?
Wait, let
No.
Ames finish her story, though.
Carry on.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Caitlin. Actually, that's very nice. But yeah, so they finally Paul Verhoeven cut so much of
Is that the director?
The director.
Sorry, thank you.
Cut so much of the violence out of it to the point where he says, "Well, I guess it's not a satire anymore because the whole point was that it's like gruesomely over violent, and now it's just there."
Well, he got to do that on Starship Troopers, though.
Oh, what year was that? Years later?
That was probably 10
90
years
something.
later, yeah.
This was one of his first movies in English.
Yeah.
I've forgotten how few titties are in this movie. There's like
Just one set
titty.
right at the
Yeah.
beginning, yeah.
Supposedly you
One
can
and
see
a half
more
titties.
in the rave.
Were there more titties? Did I miss them?
I only
Were
saw
they
the
naked
one,
titties?
I only saw the ones in the locker room,
Yeah.
but supposedly there's more during
What
the
is
rave.
with Paul Verhoeven and co-ed shower scenes?
It's an
He's
excellent
really
question.
into it.
Yeah,
He thinks the future is great,
I guess so.
clearly. Well, it sort of makes sense for that, because it would, I don't know.
I don't know if this is true or not, and I know this isn't a Starship Troopers episode, which we should do.
We should do all the Paul Verhoevens.
But I heard that the cast of Starship Troopers only agreed to do the co-ed shower scene, the co-ed naked shower scene, if Paul Verhoeven also directed it naked.
I heard this
and
story.
he agreed, so apparently everybody on set was just naked that day.
What an
Yeah, but was
awful,
like Paul
awful day.
Verhoeven
Yeah, he was like
really old with like really wrinkly balls
Yeah,
and stuff?
probably.
They probably
Old
like,
and
tell their,
Dutch.
he called their bluff. It's like, oh dear, this has backfired horribly. So, yes, Robert Kopp.
Robert Kopp. that's like the Chinese toy knockoff.
No, I think they're actually, that's the thing. I think that actually was someone found that once in a shop.
Oh,
like
that's
there really
awesome.
was
When
a
you say
Robert
someone, do you
Kopp.
mean Ashens? Because it feels like an Ashens thing. that he would have found in a pound store.
So,
And talked about on his couch
Caitlin,
weirdly.
you'd never seen it before. What did you think?
I actually really loved it. I found it a little bit at times predictable, but like whatever. And I will say that it is like super gratuitously violent, but I honestly
Yay.
feel like the first scene with Ed 2000 or whatever the
209.
fuck. Yeah, I thought that first scene where he like shoots the shit out of the dude in the board meeting was actually the worst in some ways. It was like, I literally was like, it's not going to disengage, and then it didn't, and I was like, oh, shit. And then it shoots him like 25 fucking times, and you're like, oh my god, are you done?
Yeah, that was definitely shorter in the original.
Oh, I can imagine, like,
Yeah, they cut a lot of
holy
that, I think.
fuck.
You gotta love, though, that,
Someone
They
call
had
a paramedic!
that too.
Yeah, that was
Literally
a
like,
that was a-
call a paramedic!
that was a
Call a
great
mortician!
joke.
Nobody's
Call
There's like-
Ronald
it's just-
McDonald. He is
Oh,
mulch.
yeah, and they're just shredding him on that model of Delta City. Oh.
Ugh. Yeah, but
That's
that
a metaphor
was,
for Delta City.
But
after
I love
that-
scene. That's a great scene.
after that, though, it really felt like no big deal, because as I was saying earlier, I'm not a big fan of, like, I have fucking hiccups, I'm not a fan of that either. I'm not a big fan of, like, super, like, realistic, gory shit, but this really crappy, cheesy 80s gore stuff I quite like. Or, like, your Monty Python, Death Race 2000 had a lot of goofy-ass gore. Like, that kind of shit I don't mind so much.
Yeah, I know
But-
they built a big puppet of Peter Weller and during the shooting him up and
So they
killing him scene
yeah.
so they could extra kill him.
Oh, is that what? Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, so
Is
they
that
could,
why it looked so unnatural in its movements?
Possibly.
Yeah, it
This
was
is a
fucking
big-
horrifying.
yeah, so they
marionette.
could do that like swing around the back of his head and have Boddicker shoot him without them having to do an awkward cut.
That's another like Paul Verhoeven signature thing is like the replacing an actor with like a puppet version that just doesn't look right.
Oh no.
There's a great scene in Total Recall when
Oh, I
when
haven't seen that either.
when Arnold's he's wearing
Oh,
this he's supposed to be
yeah.
wearing this fake head.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
he takes the head off, and there's like this weird puppet head that
Yeah.
just looks. It's supposed to be Arnold's face, but it looks horrible.
All right, well, one day we will do Total Recall. So.
Yeah,
I kinda-
I would love to, because I've heard many good
Total
things.
Recall's hilarious.
To an extent, you kind of
There's
wonder
3
how much.
titties in that one.
On one the same person, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, on the Lieutenant, what's her name?
Oh, that's right. I
Yeah.
forget her name.
The
Sonia Gomez.
yes, Sonia Gomez.
Really?
Yeah, we talked about it.
I didn't know Sonia Gomez had 3 titties. I didn't even notice in the show.
But you gotta kind of wonder if the like
Maybe that's why
Purpose-
they didn't keep her. Distracting.
maybe though part of the thing with the bad puppet people isn't just the tech, although that's certainly part of it. but it's like to an extent just adds to how off-putting the scenes are.
Maybe.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
I don't know. I thought the Ed 209 stop animation was a little distracting.
God, so much.
Oh, but I don't know.
I did love that they actually threw him down the set of stairs and filmed that.
Oh, did they? Is that okay? Cool.
Yeah,
that wasn't stop animated. That was they just threw him down.
What was
the
he
stairs.
made of then?
But like when he was up, it was so sad when he's on his back.
Throwing a temper tantrum. See, that's the thing. I didn't see it as sad.
There.
I felt so bad for Edie too.
See, I didn't feel bad. It just reminded me of a kid having a shit fit in the mall, where you're like, okay, look, normally I'm against hitting your children, but please hit your child.
Someone go hit Ed 209.
Because like everything about its movement wasn't like it's actually sad. It's having a temper tantrum.
I did feel a little bad for it. It reminded me of like an armadillo that couldn't get up or some
He
shit.
can't be that good of a law enforcement droid if stairs are his ultimate
Seriously.
downfall.
That's the joke though, right?
Even
That's the
can
joke.
hover.
It's like,
Yeah.
he's
they
like
couldn't back
the
down.
most advanced piece of technology in the world, but he's defeated by stairs.
Yeah, I love at the very, very end where they're all in their meeting up in the 50,000th floor or wherever, and they say, "Oh, well, don't worry, Ed 209 is out patrolling on the ground." And I was like, "Yeah, all I gotta do is get to the first floor and you're past him."
Or just have a fucking explosive shell in your gun.
Yeah.
There's just a little grin he does after he blows it up that's so delightful. Because he's just very quietly pleased. Like, yes, fuck you.
But I loved it, though. I thought it was great. And I thought, like, I don't know. I'm sure anyone who has listened to this show knows that I have a lot of, like, what do you call that? Imposter syndrome. And I kind of feel like I'm dumb as hell, but I fake it until I make it. So I was kind of, like, surprised by how much I understood the satire, but I also just kind of wonder if it's because it was A, super thinly veiled, and B, basically the life we're living in, but to someone 30 years ago, it would seem pretty fucking ridiculous that the prisons are privatized.
Oh yeah, you look at the very, very beginning, which is it's a nice touch where they have Fredrickson dies in whatever this district is. And there's a cute line. I wrote it down. Donations will go to Cecil, as usual.
Yep.
And I'm just thinking, man, yeah, because someone dies every fucking week in this district, which is why you
Probably
send
every
somebody.
day, dude.
Which is why you send somebody who'd be a good candidate for your RoboCop program to this particular district.
Yeah.
Expecting him to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they were doing. They even said, like, they were sending viable candidates to high-risk areas.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Cecil. He's got to have a lot to do.
But yeah,
that's his whole job.
That's his entire job.
No, not poor Cecil. Cecil never leaves the precinct. He's too busy arranging funerals. He has the safest job on the force.
Wait,
nice.
wasn't he also the guy that was working in like the computer room later when Murphy went in to plug in?
Was that still Cecil?
I thought it was. It was another like little dweeby looking guy.
Still, he was all right.
Yeah. That opening scene where Jellicoe's talking about, how we privatize all these industries and
Dick Jellicoe.
Played by Ronnie Cox.
Yep.
What?
His name is Ronnie Cox.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dick.
right, yes, you're right.
Dick's played by a guy named Cox.
I'm thinking of Ray Wise again because of the repeated R names.
That's practically satire.
And the actual character named Cox was the black guy?
Yes. Joe Cox.
Wait, which...
the one who was peeing and the
one with the beret.
Oh my god, I fucking hated his laugh. And then I thought...
hated it?
I hated it so much. But also, I think that Chris Tucker may have drawn some inspiration from him at some point, possibly. Or is that okay to say? I don't know. But, like, actually, I said that when we were watching it on Monday, and Chris was like, well, maybe at least for Ruby Rod. And I was like, yeah, I could totally see that. But that's the other thing, though.
The hotness.
Yeah, I was going to say, the difference, of course, is that Ruby Rod is fucking hot as fuck and also charming.
Very endearing, yeah. Everyone likes Roddy Rod. Roddy
Piper.
Roddy
McDowell.
Roddy, the
Come on down!
The host of The Price is Right. The announcer for The Price is Right.
Oh, fuck.
This went places.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, the thing I like, one of the things about this movie is that like everybody except for Murphy and Lewis is a villain, pretty much. The people that aren't cops, specifically.
Everybody else we see is a bad guy.
Like,
even the old man.
I'd say
especially
the old man. I would
he
say
built this empire knowing it would be.
What was the other I can't remember his name.
Bob
Morton.
Bob. Yeah. So like he's as close as you get to a good guy
And
in
he's
this movie.
still awful.
And he's still a massive scumbag.
Yeah, no, it's...
Well, he was the one having people sent to that precinct, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
his whole plan involved getting a cop killed so that he could advance his career.
And he died in a cocaine hooker party.
Well, being blown up by...
Clarence Boddicker.
Yeah.
What does Clarence
Blown
Boddicker
up,
have
surrounded by blow.
against people named Robert? Because he kills Bob, and earlier on it's, can you fly, Bobby?
I love it.
That
Fucking
was beautiful.
You're forgetting his actual human being name.
Yeah, Red Foreman.
Kurtwood Smith.
There we go.
Is so unusual in this role, and it's so great.
Yeah.
Because I know they specifically cast both him and Ronnie Cox against type.
Right.
Kurtwood Smith's wearing the little glasses and is not at all what you would think of as a mob boss, effectively.
And you need the character name even. Clarence Boddicker. That's an accountant.
See, I don't know. Maybe it's because I know him.
It's acted so well.
I know him mostly as Red Foreman.
Oh, I was going to say the Federation president.
No.
And so who's Red Foreman? I'm sorry.
He was the dad on that 70s show.
Wait, I've told you this before. You're just getting it now?
Yes, now. Now I get it.
We discussed this this was one of the first things we talked about on the podcast.
He got significantly better looking somehow with time. Because he was an ugly little fucking monster in this movie.
I wouldn't say that.
No, I think they made him look villainous. But Red Foreman is this imperious man.
Stern,
yeah. So I don't know. I could see him go. I could see those two characters being together.
One of his earlier roles, though, it was on TV at my grandmother's house once. He was a dance instructor at the start of the terrible sequel to Saturday Night Fever.
Oh no!
Still had no hair.
Wait, see, so that I couldn't really buy.
But that's what he had been doing up until RoboCop was
Gotcha.
The dance instructor.
Okay,
and
so
God
I could
knows
see
what else.
that being against
jarring. Yeah.
You know what I read, which I think is absolutely adorable, and I snickered a lot during the movie. And I don't know if Jake understood why I was snickering, but the OCP secretary Barbara,
I was about to bring that up,
whom he hits on and chucks his gum at, and
fucking
gives the
complete
cutest
asshole.
little wink to, is played by his real life wife.
Aw.
Were they actually real life wifed at that point?
I believe so.
No, so actually, I
Or
looked
were
into
they
that.
not? Okay.
I'm not sure if this is how they met, but they weren't married until '88.
Oh.
It didn't say if this is how they met or if they were already dating, but they wouldn't be married until a year after the movie came out.
Most importantly, though, did they have a RoboCop themed wedding?
I hope so.
Oh, absolutely.
I do kind of hope this is how they met, though. 'cause that would be
ED-209
hysterical.
gave out the rings.
And he fell down on his way up to the altar.
Like an
And
actual-
then killed everyone.
Instead of cans behind the limo, they threw out Bobby again.
Oh no, poor Bobby.
Oh, Jesus, you broke him.
Look at how consistent. Look at.
Wow.
Losers. Oh my god, I want a RoboCop themed wedding and I want to chuck somebody out of a car.
At the RoboCop themed wedding or just in general?
Yeah.
What was the character's name of the punk? Well, the guy,
Emil?
Oh, yeah, I think so, actually.
the main bad guy that wasn't Clarence.
The one that got melted?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I think
Emil.
that's
Dude,
Emil.
that scene was so...
I love
It's
that
so good.
scene.
I laughed.
He's like a water balloon.
I know, and he just explodes. I love that.
I love how
laughed my fucking ass off when he got hit by the car
Yeah.
because I was at the point where I couldn't take much more of him being like, ah, and then he just gets hit, and I was like, oh my god!
It
Do you remember
explodes.
how
Yep.
loud I cracked up?
Causes Clarence to crash the car
Yep.
too, which is even better. He just drives into that river.
I was fucking dying. Because, again, I had come to expect a certain level of gratuitous violence. And I
An
knew.
exploding monster.
Yeah, no, it was like... I felt bad laughing, but at the same time...
It's also great, he drives into a giant tank
Just
labeled toxic waste.
Yeah.
Why would they have that?
Chris is like, I'm pretty sure that's not how they store toxic waste.
Like, they do
It's the
store it.
future.
Yeah.
Well, you'll store it in big things,
Well,
but
and
it's like
it's like a
Detroit,
fucking-
you
it'll
know.
say what kind of waste.
Well, it's
Chris, it did say what kind of waste.
Toxic.
waste.
no, I mean it's a it's like a Looney Tunes
Yeah,
thing, you know?
it really is. It's amazing.
Like
It should
Acme
Acme
toxic
toxic waste. I was just thinking, Holy shit, isn't it Acme Chemicals in the beginning of fucking Batman?
Yes.
Stop!
Or is it Ace? It might be Ace.
Oh, it might be Ace. Damn it. I'm gonna assume that they misspelled Acme when they wrote down Ace.
So another kind of interesting part of this movie that is, again, part of the satire.
Are you gonna talk about Bixby Snyder? Talk about Bixby Snyder.
Bixby Snyder. Who's that?
He's the guy on the television show.
Oh, well, I was going to just say the television in general.
Mm-hmm.
So there's I'd buy that for $1.
Oh my god, I hated that so much.
It's so perfect for the show, though.
I know, but I hate it.
And like the fact that everybody thinks it's like the funniest thing to everybody.
It's like
they're all dumb as shit.
It's like which is the really, really good Black Mirror episodes. 500 merits, 500,000 merits,
something like
credits.
that. 15 million merits?
Whatever the number and whatever the currency is. Where they just watch Bother Guts and they think it's the best thing in the world. Watching specifically overweight people have things chucked at them until they fall down.
I mean, that does sound hilarious.
That is really funny. But no, yeah. Well, there's that, but then like the advertisements, and the news reports,
how chipper they always are.
Yeah,
the 6,000 SUX.
Yes,
which is so
8.3 MPGs or something. It was ridiculous.
Apparently, the one thing that really confused me and Caitlin when we watched it, we had to rewind to try to figure it out was when,
and we still couldn't figure it out. You had to ask the internet.
Yeah, when they're doing the hostage negotiation and they're first talking about the car. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, you play ball, even throw in and then he says something. I was like, was that blowjob? What the fuck? Apparently it's a
blowjob.
It's the name of a company. It's a real company of high-end German car stereos.
Yeah, what was the brand again?
I cannot remember.
It was like Blarp.
And like that was a thing that made him think it wasn't real too.
Stop jerking me off! Usually people don't say stop.
So the TV weird. And all this, there's what's interesting, I was thinking this, there's a lot of The Dark Knight Returns in this. And that was a comic miniseries from around this time, written by Frank Miller.
Wasn't What's-His-Face in it too? Didn't I notice that one of them?
Yeah, that's right. Peter Weller,
he
plays RoboCop, played Batman in the animated adaptation they did a couple of years ago.
I was going to say, because I think I have the compiled comics over there. So.
Yeah, it's a good book. It was written before Frank Miller lost his fucking mind.
Yeah, it's not very favorable of Ronald Reagan.
No. But it's a very similar thing where it's like it's an unspecified future, but everything's still super 80s.
Wait, which one is this? The Dark Knight Returns?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's, a lot of cutting to like the news angle on things. But yeah, it was a big deal because it's sort of like...
Are we still talking about Batman?
Yeah, Batman.
Okay. Sorry, I tuned out.
Yeah, sorry, it got mixed up. But yeah, so it was very seminal because it was the book that Tim Burton read, and that sort of influenced his take on Batman, which sort of helped drag at that point, the public consciousness was still largely that Batman was Adam West. And even though the comics had started to go darker... But what's funny is that Frank Miller was then the first person tapped to write the script for RoboCop 2, and his script was fucking awful.
Oh.
So they did it.
Was RoboCop 2 still with Peter Weller?
Yes, he would not do 3, however.
Oh, really? Because they got Lewis for all 3.
They did.
I loved Lewis. Holy shit. Let's talk about Lewis when you're done. Sorry. Yeah.
But,
is he still not done?
I was going to say, so I looked into it, though, because I felt like they were very similar, and I was like, I wonder if Frank Miller ripped this off, but... They were pretty much like RoboCop had been in development since like 81.
Really? Wow.
They were doing passes
there's a
on
lot. It's really tech heavy. They had to put a lot into RoboCop.
They had to build all those ED209s and throw them down the stairs.
Well, there were a lot of passes on I guess the earliest version of the script took place in a much more explicitly like distant future and this and that. So there were just a lot of drafts up through like I think 85, 86 before it kind of looked like the movie we finally got. And then Dark Knight Returns came out in like, I think 86, 87. So it's just funny that apparently, two different people approached satirizing the 80s in quite similar ways. If you've never read it and you like RoboCop, it's worth a read. It's a decent story.
It's super good. You should
Do not see RoboCop 2 though, and don't read anything Miller wrote after like the early 90s. He loses his fucking mind.
Oh, he's the one who All-Star Batman, right? Oh, yeah.
All right,
yeah.
But this isn't a Batman
It is a cool story, Chris.
But Caitlin wants to talk about Ann Lewis.
Yes, Lewis.
I
is great.
love Lewis. That's all. I don't really have anything else to say. I just thought
She's
she
pretty
was
sweet.
rocking.
I kind of.
I forgot
I'm
how
glad-
little of
I'm-
the film she was in.
I'm glad
Yeah.
they didn't romanticize her at all. That was pretty nice.
Yeah.
In fact, they more or less kind of ungendered her on purpose. Like they said, all right, you're pretty and blonde, but you're gonna have fucking short hair. The first thing you're gonna do in the movie is gonna beat the shit out of somebody.
she did get her ass kicked by being distracted by a cock. So
Yeah.
they did leave that in.
But that was sort
What?
of... That was...
That's how
right.
what's his name got the jump on her.
Cox.
Cock.
Because she was checking out his
So
dick?
she got, because he was like,
She
mind
kinda
if I
glances
zip this
down.
up? And then she's like locking eyes with him, and then she like looks down, and that's when he grabs her gun and kicks her over
Oh,
the
But
head.
even-
I fucking hate her now. I didn't even
Well,
notice
but
that.
even that was sort of meant to be kind of a play on, like, usually you have a male character distracted by cleavage or something. So this was just meant to be sort of a...
I don't give him that much credit for that.
Well, that's what I'd read. I don't know if it's true.
Oh, is that
Oh.
okay.
Yeah, that was another thing. I don't know if it would have made it into the final film of RoboCop 2 that Miller wrote. They actually made a comic adaptation of it. But, boy oh boy, did his script sexualize Lewis.
Oh no!
Oh wow, was she suddenly a prostitute? And
Her
also...
clothes just kept getting blown off by, like, violence so that she'd be running around in her skivvies.
He wrote Sin City, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's right. So she is a prostitute, then, definitely.
Yeah, so...
On weekends.
Thank goodness, that at least, and I think in the second movie we got, it didn't still happen. That was one of the things they dropped, but
Good.
it is appreciable that she's just a person.
Yeah.
She is a woman who is a cop, but she's not, she's not there to be a sex object. She's there to be a bloody policeman.
I do kind of regret that they did not establish her and Murphy more before.
Yeah, because they basically worked
He's on
together
the
for,
force one
it
afternoon.
seems like it's their first day working together.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I thought.
like that's how it plays. I think
Yeah.
maybe the implication is that they've been together a little longer than that.
but it is a little unclear.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like
she
their
certainly-
first call out together is go chase down Clarence and
Yeah.
get killed.
Yeah. And that is the one sort of thing, because she does seem, really intent on, proving he's Murphy. Because she figures it out pretty quick, but for sensible reasons.
Yeah,
Got
'cause
the
he spins
thing
his
and-
gun around.
Oh, and he's got that fascinating sort of...
Jawline.
Yeah. The lips and the jaw, they're very distinctive.
I mean, when he took his helmet off, though,
Mm.
it's like he was a dead ringer for Yul Brenner.
Who is that?
He was the robot in Westworld.
Explain more.
There are lots of
the
robots
cowboy, the main robot from Westworld.
I think of James
The
Marsden
original.
as being...
The original. Oh,
Oh
okay.
no,
Yeah,
the
not
film,
that.
the film.
Oh, I don't know it.
He's the king and the king and I.
The King and the
Okay.
King. Eye.
Oh, I know who
Bald-
that is. I've
bald
seen
guy.
that movie.
Yes, I know the one now.
Very unique look to him.
Yeah, he's got little rat eyes.
Famously died from smoking related cancers.
Apparently
Nice.
apparently not famously enough.
He's a pretty famous guy.
The King and I is great, except for all the white people they cast as.
Yeah, he
not
looks
white
kind of
people.
like Peter Weller
he
in
looks
the
kind of like he could
RoboCop
be the King of
in
Cyan.
the RoboCop makeup. But I got to give them a shitload of
Oh, that
credit on the
makeup's great.
makeup job
Yeah.
because
Dude.
it looked way better than Data.
How did they make the back of his head look like that?
Well, because
In '87.
I mean, that is the same year that TNG premiered, and I guess TNG had a TV budget, which is different than a movie budget. But my God, that was those prosthetics. Those prosthetics were on point. They were
Yeah.
on fleek.
the kids don't say that
They
anymore.
were yeet.
We killed that years ago.
They were the yeetiest.
I remember
Wow.
They
reading...
yeeted it up.
I remember reading once, I don't know if this is... But you can sort of see it in the way the makeup is done, but there was... I don't know if this was a
The
scene
makeup
that was...
specifically on the head.
Yeah. I don't know if this was a scene that was filmed and dropped or something that never even made it out of the script. But they were, at some point, made it more explicit that they basically cut his face off
Oh.
and put it over a completely mechanical skull.
Oh,
And
that's creepy.
And if you look at it, you
It
can tell,
looks like it,
his
yeah.
head does, his face kind of overlaps,
So
his...
what? So they took part of his brain? Is that the
No,
only
but
human-y part?
They essentially...
And the jaw.
They kept, essentially, his,
Well, no, his jaw is not. His skin face is, but his jaw, his whole skull is.
Yeah, they basically rebuilt his skull
RoboCop.
around his brain. He does still have at least some internal organs because he has to eat the baby food.
Mm-hmm.
So he probably has, like...
Why was that guy so happy? Tastes like baby food. Goes in for seconds.
Well, so
the
good,
fuck is
it was
wrong
gourmet
with you?
baby
So
food.
fun fact.
It was actually made of turds?
I want to say either in the 60s, possibly in the 70s, but I want to say in the 60s.
Baby food was delicious.
Gerber
then.
actually released
baby
food for adults.
Oh my god, stop.
Why?
You can find like photos of the packaging online. It was exactly what you think it was. It was baby food, but it
In
pure
a fancy jar.
Okay,
In a
but
bigger
is this
jar.
in
real?
a bigger. It is real in a bigger jar, and it was like chicken cordon bleu or like shit that adults would.
Puree line.
But
or
pureed, yeah. Gerber. I'll see if I can find because
something. Was it, like, marketed for people who'd lost their teeth?
I think it was marketed for like bachelor like
bachelor
people
chow.
that were too lazy to make food for themselves.
That's fair.
Which is why I'm like, if they've tried that, why hasn't anybody actually created human kibble? Because I feel like kibble...
Yeah, like I said, like that's what it is in
Kibble
Futurama,
is-
the bachelor chow.
Yeah, like, kibble is something I could get behind, because I feel like it would be... That I could live with.
I think chips are human
But
kibble.
pureed food... But the thing is...
There's not nutrition
But
in
yeah,
chips.
the whole thing is with kibble is it has to still be a complete...
That's right.
Nutritious food replacement.
That's okay. Just make it out of Soylent Green.
Anyway, getting back to Robot Cop.
Robot Cop. Mr.
So,
Cop.
So that lady scientist totally fucked him, right?
God, I hope not.
Oh, yeah. She probably did. She was a little too
I can only
into it.
imagine she did. She's
I
like
hadn't
she's
thought
like that
about
chick
it.
from Ensigns of Command, I want to say, that really
Oh.
wanted to fuck Data.
Yeah. For a minute, I thought you meant literally. It took me a second to realize. It's like, well, wait, how many more Star Trek people were in this?
Oh, huh.
But yeah, so he presumably has most of his torso and a head.
Okay.
And most of
Because they
what's
did
in the
replace
torso.
his arm.
But how much
They made
of
a
the
big
head
point
is
of that.
there?
Both arms, because he had already lost one, but they were like, cut the other one off.
So the brain
Piece of
is
shit.
fully there. The spine presumably is.
His
Well, he did
eyes?
get
Are those his eyes?
He did get shot in the head. That was the kill shot.
Yeah, he is missing a chunk of his brain. Yeah, the eyes probably are fake.
They must be, right? Because he has like robot vision.
Yeah, so the eyes are probably, Basically what happened was
Good
they
point.
rebuilt the skull completely.
The fact that you could see so much in the hospital, not the lab where I assume he's got the robot
Yeah.
eyes by then, but in the hospital, there's lots of point of view shot. And I'm like, no, this would not be, because he got shot in the face.
No, this
But-
would not be.
But that is the thing, though. You can tell they did
Thank-
use his
thank you,
actual
Ames.
face and didn't just build a fake one to look like it, because it does have the, like...
It does have a bullet in the...
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
A
can
bullet
see
hole.
the scar there or whatever.
Yeah.
You'd think it'd be a bigger scar, but
This movie also credit for proper use of a defibrillator.
did they not often have proper use?
No,
'Cause
it's
most off-
always wrong, actually.
Yeah,
it
pretty
turns
much.
out.
Because a defibrillator isn't actually meant to restart the heart once it's stopped. You're supposed to use it when the heart rhythm starts to fuck up. And the idea is you use it to try to get it back to a normal rhythm to keep it from failing. So when in movies they like flatline and they're like, clear! That's not right.
What do they do then? Do they just call it?
Well, you
Pretty
do
much.
CPR, right?
Yeah, there are, but
CPR 's
yeah, if you're not supposed to be using the defibrillator after they flatline. You're supposed to do it before, which because Caitlin pointed out, it's like, oh, they're doing it wrong. It's like, no, this is actually the only accurate depiction I've ever seen.
Because it turns out I'm a doctor, so I was obviously upset by
Like they
misuse.
apparently do it once more even after he's flatlined, but they actually do start it at the right time.
Interesting.
So going back to OCP, and
Why are we back on OCP?
well, because I don't know, because that's the most
You
interesting
down
part
with
of this
OCP?
movie.
Yeah, you know me. I was thinking the same fucking thing, so I'm so happy you said it. I literally was 2 seconds from saying that same fucking thing.
I beat you. Go on, Jake.
Oh my god, Ames and I are like the same
Jake
person.
is so
It's
upset that
good.
he didn't think of it himself.
He is, you can tell.
That's good.
Oh,
Okay.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Fair. Okay.
He is very annoyed.
So OPP. So these guys,
They are
These
the worst.
assholes.
they are the worst.
The old man and crew.
These
So-
fucking guys.
Yeah. Now.
Except Kenny, who's super dead.
yeah.
He was probably a prick too. Though.
Too bad about Kenny.
I mean, they were all pricks, right?
Yeah, you weren't in that room if you weren't a prick.
Yeah. So they've privatized the Detroit Police Department.
Yep.
So this is the warning, right? This is the let's not privatize some things, because when
Yeah.
there's the profit motive, like my favorite, like it's almost a throwaway throwaway thing is when Jellicoe is defending ED-209 to
As well he should. He's great.
to Bob
Yeah.
in the bathroom, I think. He's like, it doesn't, basically, paraphrasing, he's like, it doesn't matter that the ED-209 is a piece of junk.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it works or not.
We'll still, make a ton of money.
Yeah.
We'll have a support contract and replacement parts for 30 years. And it's like, oh, yeah, well, exactly. That's why this is a big problem.
Yep.
It reminded me, it's like there was I can't remember what it was called now, and I think it's still a thing. There's like a fighter jet that the U.S. military, I think it's being developed by Lockheed or Boeing, some military.
One of those guys.
Yeah, one of those companies is developing this fighter jet that's completely over-engineered and like has been a failure from day one, basically. It's like too heavy because it has way too much shit in it.
It's like the Spruce Moose.
And it's also trying to like be stealth, and it's like
Or Spruce Goose,
there's like
which
all
is
of
the
this
real
shit
one.
that they put into this fighter that just makes it a fucking boondoggle.
Yeah.
And it costs like billions of dollars a piece to produce, and
Yikes.
the government is like basically stuck buying these things because they agreed to before, and like Boeing or whoever's making them are like, yep, keep it a coming.
Well, and even though it's more successful, you still even got like the Harrier jump jet, which again, sort of over-engineered. Like, it can do that neat vertical takeoff and landing thing.
Ooh, I want to do that.
But it's really easy to fuck that up. Very few people apparently can actually successfully fly one of those things.
Yeah, but if we didn't have the Harrier, we wouldn't have great movies such as True Lies, which featured the Harrier jet.
True, it did. Well, a special effective one.
I'll take your word.
That wasn't a real Harrier jet?
I fucking hope not.
I hope so.
James,
VTOL, man.
You have a shitload of notes. Anything
I have a
in
shitload of
particular?
notes. I was going to go into the... We talked about what was left of... What's his actual...
Murphy's
Murphy's head.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about his body. Let's talk about the robot suit.
His dick.
That's long gone.
Definitely no dick.
They could have an attachment.
Oh, yeah, I mean an attachment.
Just super
for
glue
sure.
one on there and ride on home.
I feel like I made a like fully functional something joke. Good,
Well, you
good for
should.
me. Good
Thank
for
you.
me. You're welcome.
And Tasha Yar would go after him too.
Ugh.
And...
Three-way.
Nice.
There was actually a threat. Sorry. Do you mind if I
Go
interject
ahead.
really quick? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I want to try to respect Ames's talking time so much more because I feel like
That's
we're
fine. We
really
cut
bad
off
about
Jake
it.
when you want to talk about OCP, so...
Yeah, you know me. Anyway, I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, there was a thread today on Star Trek shitposting about whether or not Data has a butthole.
We've talked about
and
that.
it went on forever. Well, the obvious answer is yes.
Of course, you got a crack. I mean...
Yeah.
He's
so
fully
anyway.
functional. He was made to look human, so
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, butthole. Anyway.
Does he have nipples?
Yes. Probably.
Probably.
Belly button?
No, because he wasn't born.
Fair enough. All right, go
yeah,
ahead,
so
Ames, I'm sorry.
robot suit.
Yep.
Giant pain in the ass to construct.
Yes.
As one would expect with a robot suit.
Yep.
They got it way later than they were expecting to because reasons. So they did all the shooting without the suit first. And I was noticing during the movie how fucking lithe Peter Weller is. He's like he's like a noodle. He's like a noodle of a man.
Yep.
Because I happened to read that during the shooting with the suit, it would be so fucking hot. They shot in Dallas most of the time.
Oh,
he would lose 3 pounds a day in water weight.
No!
And I'm thinking, he's so little. Where is the weight coming from? He can't afford to lose 3 pounds a day.
It's coming from his dick.
I know I read once, this was before but he couldn't actually fit in the car in the full
so
suit.
He's pantsless.
Yes, whenever you see him driving, he's not actually got trousers on. Or
Did
at
they
least
do the
his
same
robot
thing when he had to
trousers.
go down the stairs?
That sounds right, actually.
Because again, stairs are the natural enemy of all robots.
Yeah,
Well, that and also,
very nimble.
he didn't even have,
He
like...
wasn't
Oh,
a
you can't
robot,
fucking
he
see
was a
either.
cyborg.
Yeah, because you see it from, like, any sort of lower angle. Like, the helmet is flush against his face.
Oof. Woof.
I remember reading...
His visibility must have been bullshit.
Yeah, it was non-existent.
Michael Keaton thought he had it bad.
Like, well, I was about to say, like, I remember reading an interview with Adam West once. Because of the way his cowl was shaped, he didn't have, like, peripheral vision down. And he said going down a flight of stairs was a leap of faith.
Yep.
Same thing with this, because again, it's like, if you look, it is against his face.
Yeah.
He probably couldn't breathe well, because it's over his nose, too.
I read that when they throw him the car keys and
yeah.
he catches them, they had to do that, I want to say 50 times.
Yeah.
To get him to actually catch the thing.
Thank
Because
you.
the hand isn't very retractable.
Well, that, and I think, wasn't it rubber, too? So, like, they
Maybe.
would naturally bounce off.
Oh, no. Poor
I looked up some original casting considerations for the role
sorry.
of Murphy.
Oh, yeah?
The original ones that they were considering were Rutger Hauer and Michael Ironside.
Michael Ironside, maybe.
But they were both going to be way too big to put
Say
a
Rutger
fucking
Hauer,
suit
I couldn't
on.
see it at all.
Not from a suit perspective, but from an actor perspective, you mean?
And
An actor,
and the
but
studios,
Michael Ironside, I could see doing it.
yeah, the studio suggested Arnold Schwarzenegger for
Nope.
some fucking reason.
That's
This was just after Terminator.
I'm
What the
RoboCop.
fuck?
yeah, and like no.
Typecasting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter Weller is an interesting choice because, like, he's kind of a scrawny looking dude. Like, he doesn't look
Yeah.
like an action hero at all
No.
until you put him in a giant
But yeah,
suit.
the suit can expound on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I was reading that, like, him and Movement Coach had come up with a much more sort of fluid movement
More
style
snake-like,
for him.
right?
But then the suit came in and they're like, that's not gonna work.
Yeah,
Well,
they made it work pretty well, actually.
So they-
I
Well,
really
yeah, but I
liked
mean,
it.
they modified how he was gonna move.
They did the 2000-something remake. 2014 remake looked like they went with a more, like, cat suit type.
Yeah, it was definitely much more
Ooh.
form-fitting.
Yeah.
Hot.
Like T'Pol.
Yeah.
He has a lot less left. He's basically his head and lungs.
Oh.
In the 2014 one.
Yeah,
Neat.
that's the one Gary Oldman's in, right?
Yep.
Isn't he like the scientist that makes him?
I-
Does that make him a bad guy?
It's unclear.
See, the thing is, I didn't watch that movie, but from
By all accounts,
it's terrible, and well, like it totally misses the point of the original, or wasn't
Well, as do the sequels.
by
to the
design,
original.
perhaps not intended to be like the original.
Yeah.
Oh, I also read that originally the suit was supposed to be bright blue.
No,
Yes, but it was
that's
too,
a bad
reflective or
idea.
something.
Yeah, the lighting did not like it.
No, I don't. It looks better that way. Like, I get it. Bright blue looks more like a uniform, but there's something so, like, just 80s about that sort of glossy silver that looks purple
He
in
looks
the right
like
light.
a DeLorean, you know?
Yeah, actually, kind of.
They should have
Human
gold plated
DeLorean.
him.
Oh, no.
Oh, we haven't talked about the most important thing. ED209 looks like Diva, or the other way
It
around.
does kind
Oh
of
yeah,
Which is super awesome.
It kind of does.
Yeah,
Yes.
Diva's guns especially.
Yeah.
look
I
like-
I downloaded an Overwatch soundboard just so I could make Diva say shit while
Oh man,
ED209.
wouldn't that be the best? Like
That
Halloween
video
We were
doesn't
kid?
talking about that. We want
Oh,
it so
no.
bad.
I was going to say, I surprisingly, I could not find it. I Googled it, but no one has taken, like, an ED209 scene and overdubbed her voice lines. It's shocking to me.
Oh,
Well,
let's
I did
make
it. I
happen.
did it live, so
But
you're
that
welcome.
should be a Halloween skin, yes. I suppose maybe to an extent that's what the
Oh my
the
God,
police
that would
skin
be
is kind of a
so
nod
great.
to.
Hmm.
Oh my god, we have to write to fucking Blizzard right now.
And Soldier should be RoboCop.
Shut the fuck up! It's so good. I mean, don't shut up. Keep having brilliant ideas.
Here's a question.
Yes.
So we learn that not prerogative 4. What's it fucking called?
Directive
Directive
4.
4.
His prime directives, which I thought was funny.
Star Trek.
But this
Connections
predates,
everywhere.
This predates the actual, I think,
Prime Directive.
prime directive from Star Trek '87. I think prime. I
Were
don't.
they still calling it... Did they ever call it the Prime Directive in TOS?
I don't remember.
Or was it only ever General Order 1?
I think it was just General Order 1. I don't remember though. But prime directives. When I saw that on the screen, I was like, "Oh, that's funny."
See, it's another link to Star Trek.
Yes, everything is secretly Star Trek. All of life is canon now.
But yeah, so Directive 4.
Directive 4 is in that you cannot harm people
Or
you
even
can't
arrest.
you can't arrest people in OCP.
Well, specifically high-ranking people.
Yeah, because otherwise
he
he wouldn't have been able to arrest Bedecker either. See, I always thought that would have been a cooler thing if, like, he went to go arrest Bedecker and it wouldn't let him, but it wouldn't tell him why.
Oh, you know what was really weird? I wrote this down because I was really weirded out by it. So they go into the Coke factory, does a lot of shooting people up, and
You don't
grab
shoot
and
up Coke.
throws Boddicker through several glass every
Just
glass door in the
repeatedly
building.
throwing him
Yeah.
through glass.
He just kept finding new glass doors to throw him through. And then
so
when
good.
he's about to strangle him to death, and it's like, oh nope, you must uphold the law. You can't just strangle him to death. And I'm like, yeah, but you could throw him through all the glass doors and you could murder the hell out of everyone in that building?
Well, because everyone else in that building was shooting at him too, though.
It was self-defense at that point.
Like he was, yeah.
Does that matter?
Boddicker had thrown his gun down and was like...
But he threw him through the glass 1,000.
Well, that's not going to kill him.
Yeah, that was just to fuck him up.
Well, that's
so
police brutality.
No, he was trying
This whole movie is police brutality, and it's awesome.
That's... Sorry, part of the reason I brought up Batman earlier.
What? No,
Batman?
not this again.
Which made me wonder, like, who's...
You have to start a Batman podcast, and I have to not be on it.
Very briefly. But there's
too bad.
even a bit
I don't
in
like
it.
Batman.
There's even a bit in The Dark Knight Returns where to apprehend a hostage taker, Batman smashes through a wall and pulls the guy through it. So
How
it's
does
like...
Batman do that? He's
Well,
not
it's an old, battered building, and it's just drywall at that point. But yeah, that's what got me thinking, wait a minute. So, someone was cribbing from someone's homework.
Oh, and then
Cribbing.
okay, and then the other fantastic scene is shooting the rapist's dick off.
Oh,
yes, it was so good. I was like, did he just shoot him in the dick through her skirt? Chris is like, yeah.
I think the great part of that scene, too, though, is she, like, rushes up to him after, like, oh, thank you. And she's like, you have been through a traumatic event. I will contact a rape crisis center. And she's just like...
For a second, I thought she was going to make out with him.
I think she thought that, too.
Yeah, they were playing up the sort of classic trope there, and then he's just like, what?
She was being assaulted.
My dick was shot off.
But that's still something movies would unfortunately do. you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Whereas in reality, the last thing she wants to do is make out with a stranger. Even the guy that saved her.
Mm.
But yeah, and he's just like...
Unfortunately, though, I believe that survivors of past trauma, particularly if they were kids, will act out by being very, like, sexually...
Well, but not...
Immediately?
yeah.
No, I know.
But it's also just funny that, like, you know, he's being professional on the one hand, but also, like, you didn't have to be completely into her, like, you know, affections. Still just, like, could have been comforting in a more professional way. But
they're there.
Yeah, but he's just like, I will contact people. RoboCop.
That's fine. It's probably one of his extra directives.
Speaking of his directives, there's a fun thing in the 90s Sailor Moon anime. It'll connect.
Oh, God. Batman, Sailor Moon, what the fuck is this?
Sailor Mercury has a little computer that she uses mostly in the first season. And
In that one episode, probably.
yeah.
I get to the point.
And she flips it open, a little text pops up, and it's RoboCop's directives.
Okay, that's cute. But fuck you anyway.
Oh, I love Sailor Moon.
I have a very important note right here.
Does it say fuck Sailor Moon?
Basically, no, it says Dino on a stroll.
What?
In the 6000 XUX
Oh, the
commercial,
ad, yes.
there was a dinosaur going for a walk.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
it was the most adorable thing I've ever seen.
I fucking missed that, I think.
No, you didn't. You said I'd watch that movie.
Oh, that's right.
The ad for the car.
That's
yeah.
right. The T-Rex.
Yeah, and his eyes bug out when he sees the 6000 SUX.
And that's when I was like, oh. Because at first I thought it was actually a movie that was being watched, because there are really shitty stop-motion claymation type movies of dinosaurs doing shit from back in the day. And so I totally thought that's what I was looking at.
The stop motion for ED209 was Phil Tippett, who you may know as the dinosaur supervisor from the original Jurassic Park, and therefore the origination of the "you had one job, Phil" meme.
I don't get it.
I didn't get it either.
So in the original Jurassic Park, there's he was actually a consultant for because Phil Tippett was a big like stop motion animator back in the day.
Okay.
And when Spielberg was still considering using stop motion for the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, he hired on Tippett. But then the other folks came in with the CG models, and he was like, "Holy shit!" But they kept Tippett on because he still had like really useful input on how to make the movement seem more
the expertise. There's a video, a nice documentary about like how Jurassic Park was like one of the first times that anyone had ever done CG like that, where they were having like living creatures done in CG. And so, but he was
They
an expert.
hold up too.
They do.
Oh, the dinosaurs
that's
are
the
incredible.
thing.
But part of it was
Right.
like they were like he looked at the samples of animation that ILM or whoever produced and was like, okay, well this is really technically impressive, but that's not how animals move.
Yeah, so he
he I think actually ended up creating a company to like
possibly
Study dinosaur.
Well, no,
movement?
not just dinosaurs, but like to consult with movies that were going to have live creature animation and like teach people like, okay, this is how like an animal moves,
This is how
because
do
he'd done it for stop
So
motion
long, yeah.
for decades.
But yeah, so he was credited the credits of the movie as the dinosaur supervisor. But of course, we all know how Jurassic Park went, so
The dinosaurs are not real?
The joke became someone would share, the dinosaur supervisor, Phil Tippett. You had one job, Phil!
I got it.
Yeah.
I finally got there, Chris.
But that Phil Tippett, it's the same Phil Tippett who animated ED 209 and many, many, many other things, but specifically for us.
Nice.
I don't know if he did any of the stop motion in the sequel.
Dino on a stroll. I was very
Going
excited.
shopping for a new car.
Turns out that Frank Miller's...
You're saying Mitt Romney?
I was going to say Mitt Romney?
Yeah, Frank Miller's...
Did you hear about that time Mitt Romney left
rejected,
his dog on top of the car?
RoboCop 2 script. He recycled a lot of it into RoboCop 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a shame.
Yeah. God, what else?
Every movie needs a 10-minute scene of people blowing shit up and yelling, I like it!
Yeah. That whole sequence is amazing and it's gratuitous.
It's entirely unnecessary
It is.
how long it goes
Yep.
on, and yet it's still all perfectly necessary.
It's that is those people in a nutshell. They are just pure mayhem as people.
Yay!
They blew up what's his name's car.
John's Cox.
Yeah. Damn it. So here's the silly thing, right? Because Emil's death is so over the top and insane and all that, I can't actually remember how Boddicker gets it. Do they just shoot him?
Boddicker?
Yeah.
He got knifed in the throat.
Yeah.
Who was Boddicker?
Oh, right,
again?
with the spike. That's right. That was good.
And then it splurted everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the scenes that they had to cut for the rating was the splurting that got on RoboCop.
Mm.
It was interesting because we were watching the director's cut and there was a shot. The first shot of it squirting was very clearly not like it must have been from some other film stock because looked like shit.
Mm.
And then it cut, and then it looked fine after that. But like everything else was in HD except for this one shot, which was
That's
really like
funny.
this grainy, unrestored film. And I was like, "What? That was out of place."
Missed a bit.
But oftentimes, like effect shots like that were filmed separately. You know, it's like why we can't have nice things with like DS9 because they did a lot of the effect shots in SD.
Yeah.
Stupid dummies.
Are they gonna turn Lewis into a RoboCop now?
No,
she got fucking shot to hell.
No,
She's still a human in
She's
2.
fine in 2.
Okay.
I think... Did I read?
Does she have robot parts?
I think originally there was going to be an additional scene showing her, like, fine.
Recuperating.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie does kind of end.
Suddenly.
Yeah.
So,
what's your name?
Murphy.
Which I was trying to figure out why does that sound so familiar? And it's because in Home Alone, when Kevin calls the cops, the pizza guy,
Hello,
somebody,
my name is Murphy. My
name's Murphy. With the same tone as what's your name? Murphy. My name's Murphy.
You got to give credit to Peter Weller because, like, the whole sort of point of his arc is him rediscovering who he is. Hence that whole that being the ending moment. And I realized, as you watch, like, his movements get more natural.
Oh, that's interesting.
As things like, because especially early on, like, he doesn't turn.
That just may be because the filming got lazy. We're like, just get it done. Just fucking walk. I don't care anymore.
Well, no, it's like early on, especially.
It's so hot in Dallas.
He will never whenever he turns as RoboCop, he turns his head first, and then the rest of the body follows. And I noticed at some point he was just like, no, he turned like a normal fucking person.
Well,
and
especially once his helmet came off.
Yeah. Well, I think that's
very able to use his face.
Yeah.
I love all the shooting in the Coke factory where he does a lot of like great gesticulating stuff and shooting up this way over his shoulder.
Practically gun kata.
I'll get the reference.
Sorry. Interestingly, though, that's also
whole
reflected.
Episode of me not getting the reference.
Oh, you don't get the reference? I'm not going to explain it.
Oh, I didn't want to waste more time. It's from
Sailor Moon.
Fuck, what's that
real
movie?
nice.
Batman.
What's that movie called?
Batman.
Oh, is it the Angelina Jolie thing?
No.
What was the one?
Oh, Christian Bale.
Batman.
No.
Oh, I don't
It's
remember
always
this then.
Batman.
I thought you were talking about. Wasn't there one with like Angelina Jolie?
Wanted, but no. Yeah, there's this terrible early 2000s dystopian movie that Christian Bale was in, and he was...
Newsies?
It was sort of a Fahrenheit 451 knockoff, but rather than burn your books, they would just show up and kill you if you had books.
Nice.
And they had like gun kata, which just involved flipping your arms around in weird ways while you shot.
So it was like one of those post-Matrix movies?
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Listeners, if one of you knows the name of the movie, please drop it in the comments.
No, don't. Fuck you.
But interestingly, though, RoboCop's sort of progression back to humanity is even
baby Chris. Jesus Christ.
sort of reflected in the score, which I listened to. And that's the famous RoboCop theme, which you will have heard earlier this episode.
I forget what it was.
Courtesy
Jake,
of
help.
Jake.
I am a robot. I am a cop. I am a RoboCop. I will not shoot you. I will just choke you and stab you in the neck.
Nice.
It's really beautiful.
So, when he's on his first patrol as RoboCop, that's the basic tune.
Robot Cop.
Yes, but there's a lot of,
Ooh.
worked into the score, almost like a hammer on an anvil.
Or a Coke can on a glass coaster.
And especially towards the end, or the last fight, there's still a bit of that, but there's way, way less. Even his theme gets less metallic and mechanical. It's really clever.
Interesting.
Music was by Basil Polideros, who, if memory serves, also did The Hunt for Red October.
And I'm pretty sure
Which
he
had
does,
Gates McFadden.
I'm pretty
Star
sure
Trek,
does,
everyone.
Starship Troopers too.
Did he? Okay.
If not, then the Starship Troopers score is strongly influenced by the RoboCop score because there's. I was watching Starship Troopers some time ago and
This morning.
He watches it once a week.
Because the RoboCop theme is so distinctive.
It's great.
And I was watching Starship Troopers and I'm like, oh wow, there's a lot of similar themes here, and it really works. It works for both movies.
Nice.
It would have been weird if I'm thinking this Rutger Hauer was RoboCop just because he'd been the pseudo android in Blade Runner. It's almost too on the nose.
Yeah. I read that the writer of this, Edward Neumeier, got the idea when seeing an ad for Blade Runner.
Right.
And it was like, what's Blade Runner about? He turns to his friend, what's Blade Runner about? He's like, oh, it's about these. What the fuck is Blade Runner about?
Cops that hunt robots.
Cops that hunt robots. And Neumeier's idea was, oh, well, what about ... Yeah.
A Robert Cop!
Hot take.
Can you fly, Bobby?
Hot take. Blade Runner 2049 is superior to the original Blade Runner.
Really?
Hot take.
Huh. Interesting. Well, let's talk about that at some point.
10 forwards all around. We're never going to talk about Star Trek
like
again.
them both, but I think 2049 has possibly more rewatchability. I don't know.
Then what? Blade Runner?
Yeah. I like 2049 a lot.
I need to watch Blade Runner again because I wasn't that fond of it the first
I
time
have
I
to.
saw
The
it.
original one?
Yeah.
Well, have you seen 2049?
No.
Oh, you should watch that. That's really good.
You were right. He did do the music for Starship Troopers.
Okay, it makes sense.
I remember watching the original Blade Runner and being very upset at the lack of sheep.
And that's true. But there's a unicorn.
Well,
I have to
depending on which cut you
That's
watch.
true.
Why do they keep a gun in the boardroom?
A loaded gun in the boardroom?
Yeah.
Why did they load their test robot with live rounds?
That's another very good question.
I'm gonna take a guess and just say that duels have happened.
I could see that.
I'd buy that for $1.
That's actually that is the gun the old man used to become the leader of OCP when he was the not quite so old man.
There you go.
Oh, I mean, certainly it's mostly just for the absurdity of it all, but you know what? That makes perfect sense that they would straight up just have duels in that fucking office.
Yep.
It seems very in character, especially for the Jellicoe character.
Did they actually film that in a high-rise in Dallas? Those boardroom scenes?
The boardroom scenes? I'm not sure.
Because the window, the vista really did look like a cityscape. It didn't look like any
It's like a backdrop.
Yeah. It had parallax. It was very nice.
And, well, as we do know, if you fall out a building in Dallas, your arms get weirdly long, so it probably was.
Oh yeah, the freaking the effect of him falling out, and he gets these weird spider arms.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. How did that happen?
I literally made Chris. I'm like, wait, stop and go back. We got to see that again. What the fuck just happened? He turned into a fucking Muppet, for Christ's sakes.
I mean, Hans Gruber getting pitched off the Nakatomi building was more convincing,
Nice.
and even that hasn't aged that well.
I have had
anything,
enough of you.
Yes.
Anything though is still better than I think it was the
Batman.
Sailor Moon. The Shogun equivalent to Shredder, Shogun Shredder in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, Turtles in Time.
Wait, what about?
Okay. So
I know the movie.
The third Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, they go back to feudal Japan.
I know, feudal Japan, I know.
And they have, and at the end, I'm pretty sure if I'm remembering, and
No,
you're
thinking of the Super Shredder from the second movie.
I don't know.
Go on. No, but go on.
But there's a scene where
Shredder.
Shredder. I thought it was the Japan one, but I could be
He's not
mistaken.
in the Japan one.
I know Shredder isn't, but there's an equivalent villain, right?
I mean, there is the Emperor, but he's not a.
Do they throw him off a building or into a sea? Does he get thrown into the sea?
Cut all this, Chris.
I don't think so. I think you're thinking of the second one with the Super Shredder.
Well, whatever.
It's not
Someone
enough
gets
Sailor
thrown into
Moon.
the sea. I know in the first one, Shredder gets
yeeted into the sea.
He gets crushed in a trash compactor.
That's right. And in the second one,
my only memory of this movie is the villain getting thrown into the sea off a cliff or a building or something, and the effect has him falling away from the camera, and then at a point he just disappears. They just like stopped the effect, so he just vanishes. And then I think like they eventually have a splash, but like it didn't match up. Like it didn't work. It was a very bad
put on
effect.
his invisibility cloak
well,
while he was
certainly
falling.
it not working lines up with the third Turtles movie because actually the third one's better than the second one.
I bet somewhere on YouTube there's like a supercut of villains getting thrown from things.
Nice.
It probably has that
True,
Star Trek 3-1.
yeah.
It probably has the first Batman where rather than having Jack Nicholson disappear, he very conspicuously turns into cell animation. So anything else on RoboCop from you, Ames?
My final note, Johnson loves watching Jones get murdered.
Yes, he does. He was so happy.
Yeah. The big thumbs up, like
Yes!
everyone's okay
Good
with this.
job!
And that's the thing. I think that's part of the amusing part about the way it ends suddenly. Is just like, you're like, yeah, good guy, he's Murphy again. But then you stop and you go, wait a minute though. Everyone else in that room is still the worst and they're fine. Like, wait a minute.
They're gonna probably keep abusing him.
Nothing is good. Like, it's great. Because it's just so, like, it gives you a false sense of everything's fine when it really, really isn't.
Well, and again, it's just more of, like, how our lives are today.
Yeah. So, yeah, we mentioned offhanded way, like, there's been so much RoboCop grew out of this. There were 2 theatrical sequels.
A remake.
There was the remake. There was a cartoon for children.
Mm-hmm.
There was a live-action TV series. There was a live-action film TV movie trilogy. Like, there's a shitload of RoboCop.
Most of it not in the original spirit, you think?
From what I've heard, because I haven't seen... Like, I saw the first 3 ages ago. You know, I haven't seen 2 or 3 since I was a kid. I was way too young to watch them. But from what I recall, like, yeah, it's like Jake said, they kind of miss the point, and they just become action movies or cop shows, but one of them is a robot.
Well, no, I think they kind of, like, I don't know if this applies to as much of the second, because I really don't remember the second movie that much at all. But I do remember the third movie was very much a kid's movie, like, which was really strange when you consider how this movie was, like, ultra-violent and just gratuitously violent.
It's definitely hard to imagine this being a cartoon.
It got a children's cartoon adaptation.
But, like, the third movie is, like, legit, like, a kid's movie. It's like the third Mad Max. It's bad.
I've never seen any of the Mad Maxes except for Fury Road.
Oh, you should watch Mad Max.
But
yeah, I know.
Fun.
I got a lot of
movies.
things to catch up on, you know.
But this may not end up happening. But last year it was announced, and as of like February of this year, supposedly work is still continuing.
RoboCops?
Nope, they are making another RoboCop movie.
Is it another reboot?
Not exactly. They're pulling this little trick where they're making a movie called RoboCop Returns.
I think I heard about
which is going to be a sequel to the original RoboCop
like
that ignores 2, 3, none of it happened.
Is it like old RoboCop with Peter Weller?
Peter Weller is not coming back, he said.
Yeah, he's just an old RoboCop at home crocheting.
He was
His
2 weeks from retirement.
You know, the thing about like Peter Weller is he's been in a lot of stuff. Like he was in.
Name one more thing.
Buckaroo Banzai.
Well, but okay.
Yeah,
so
he was
Star
Buckaroo
Trek
Banzai,
Enterprise, Star Trek Into Darkness.
I've never heard of that one. What's that?
That's the Benedict Cumberbatch one.
I was just kidding.
Oh,
is he good in it?
Peter Weller. He's a cartoon villain in it.
He's as good as anyone is in that fucking trash pile of a movie. He's really good in Enterprise. He plays a real prick.
Wasn't Idris Elba in one of them? Is he in
He's in Beyond.
Yeah, he was really good.
He was in Sons of Anarchy. He's been in a number of like things, but the thing is, without fail, whenever you see Peter Weller in something, you go, "Oh, look, it's RoboCop."
Yeah.
So, like, honestly,
now I get to say that.
Honestly, if he showed up, like, if somebody went up
there
to
at our house right now,
it'd be like, "Oh, RoboCop's here."
RoboCop.
But if somebody offered, if someone's like, "Hey, Pete, we're doing another RoboCop. We want you back. And he said no. What an ass.
He is
an ass thing to do.
Look, he is Dr. RoboCop now. He demands your respect.
Yeah, what was his fucking...
He has a PhD...
dissertation on?
It was a 300-odd page dissertation on...
RoboCop?
No, he has his PhD in Renaissance art history.
Oh, that's right.
I don't think you need 300 pages.
Is this pre-RoboCop?
No, he went back to university in 2007 and got his PhD conferred in 2014.
Well, good for him. Well, I mean, they couldn't even get him back for the third movie, so...
Yeah, that's the thing. He'd already long since washed his hands of this franchise.
Can people who hate Star Trek leave?
No.
Good question.
But that's what I think at this point he's just like, because let's be honest.
I've roboed my last
RoboCop Returns will almost certainly suck.
I don't know. Blade Runner 2049 was the same idea. It was pretty good.
See,
no, that was a sequel, I thought.
That's what this is, right?
But this is a sequel ignoring pre-existing sequels.
But this pre-existing sequels suck, so...
True, but you know who else
I'm still waiting for The Matrix 2.
You know who else tried this? Superman. When they made a little movie called Superman Returns, we're like, all right, only the first two, the two people like, count. It's a sequel to those. And that movie sucked. Sorry, Liz. And now they're working on, ignoring sequels.
Wait, that didn't even have... What's his name in it? Or what's her name? Or what's his name?
Peter Weller. Sailor Moon.
No, Christopher Reeve or the woman that played Lois.
Well, yeah, because it was supposed to take place...
Gene Hackman.
Yeah, it was supposed to take place immediately after 2.
That's so stupid.
Yes, and this is probably equally stupid. Just like that fucking Ghostbusters 3 they're working on. That's gonna suck.
Wait, what?
Hey, I hope it doesn't
they're
totally...
not doing another
yeah,
Ghostbusters.
They are.
Yeah.
But this one is going to be a sequel to the terrible, terrible Ghostbusters 2.
God, I can't believe they're raping my childhood like this.
But wait, but
it's
Harold Ramis is dead.
It's a new team.
Oh.
But it's set in the same continuity.
But there aren't a bunch of fucking women in it. You know what I mean? So it's fine.
Is Dan Aykroyd involved?
I'm fucking sure he is.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be good. Anyway, RoboCop. Sorry, I got us off course.
I think I'm done with RoboCop.
RoboCop.
Well, in that case, how about Batman?
Is an existential nightmare.
And we're living in it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It is very sad when he goes to his home and his wife is gone and all this stuff.
But
why did they leave so much junk there if they're trying to sell the house?
Well, because the thing, I like that because it's a touch of okay, they clearly just dumped these little robot sales reps in the house without doing anything, you know?
Yeah, I like the because it's a futuristic play. Well, not play. Where am I? Movie. It's a futuristic movie, and yet all the future touches are very subtle, and they're not overhanded with look, it's the future.
Yeah,
we drive a Ford Taurus now.
Oh yeah, but that is kind of cool, right? Because I remember Ford Taurus, it was a pretty futuristic looking car.
It was. I know. I remember thinking it was the coolest thing in the early '90s.
Because I was
dumb.
Remember what police cars looked like before
Caprice.
They were boxy old guy
Crown
cars.
Vics.
They were basically and then the thing is, after RoboCop, they redesigned the Crown Vic to look like a Taurus.
That's true.
Look at the Crown Vics after 1990, and they look like Ford Tauruses that are just bigger.
Yeah,
is that true?
Yeah,
that's really funny.
And now, of course, what they call the Taurus now is a cop car.
That's right.
Because they don't make Crown Vics anymore, even police ones.
Yeah.
All right.
But no, the actual act of being RoboCop, it's
you're dead.
Yeah, sure. Now
you died.
Now he knows he's Murphy again, but he's got to deal with the fact that he's more conscious, and now it's so what am I?
Maybe the part of his brain that needs therapy was shot out, and he doesn't have to worry about it.
Can he die, or could they presumably somehow keep his brain going? Is he effectively immortal with enough tune-ups?
I mean, you can also I'm wondering if they didn't just download most of his brain though, because clearly there's a computer interface there.
There is an interface.
He can show his past recordings.
Yeah, he can record shit.
But no, there is at least some organic brain in there, because even though it never really came up in the I did some Googling, there was concept art of what the organic-inorganic interface looked like. So there were actually drawings of his brain with little mechanical bits spiderwebbed across it, link it, yeah.
Sad.
So yeah, there is still plenty of organic material there. He's not a download yet. But they could theoretically turn him into one over time.
Sweet.
They could just Control-Alt-Delete him after he has a bad day like this, and he'll not remember it later.
Yeah, but that didn't really work that well.
They did say they
remembered everything else.
Yeah, they said they were going to wipe his memories, but I don't think it worked. He really does remember all the shit that happened when they were
remembered
building him.
everything in dreams.
Yeah.
So it was that trope. You remember everything in your dreams.
Yeah.
Anyway.
RoboCop.
Robot.
Mr. Cop.
Dr. RoboCop. PhD.
Dr. Mrs. the Monarch.
All right.
I wonder what his rank is.
So we wrapping this one up? Doing a
I
wrap?
think he's outside of rank.
That's true. He is kind of just a
he's
judge, jury, and executioner.
He's owned by the company that owns the police, so...
Yeah.
What can you do?
Eventually, he's the commissioner. He just sits there, like, behind a desk, but he's still RoboCop. He's got, like, a tie on.
He'll be the CEO.
Kind of wrapped around his collar, like, this is weird.
I want to see RoboCop, but it's Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and he's the chief.
I've never seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
And he's
What's
like,
the deal with
Peralta,
that?
put on a tie.
God! Why are
it's
people so into Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
It's
very funny.
hysterical.
Why?
It just is.
Who created it?
No idea.
I don't know. People.
Oh.
Is it made by television?
Yes, it is made by television.
Cool.
It's really good. I'd have no idea who the fuck wrote it.
Cop comedy?
Yep.
Yes,
Okay.
and it's fucking. It really is. I know I keep just saying it's hilarious.
All right, we can cut all that, Chris.
Yeah, we're good. All right, cool story, bro.
It's getting long.
All right, let's yeet. Let's yeet this thing.
That's not how this works, but okay.
Yes. I have no idea where you're going to end up releasing this, so I don't know what our next episode is.
Yeah, that's true. Next time,
So
who the
fuck
fuck
it.
knows?
Because Chris can just pick when to release.
I'll tell you what. Here's what we'll do, right? I'll start the thing, and then I'll leave a gap, and then you can come back when we know what's next and just fill it in with your voice. And
That won't be weird.
Well, everyone,
some helium
that was
first.
our 10 forward about RoboCop. Next time on A Star to Steer Her By, we'll be talking about 2 Star Trek The Next Generation episodes.
Possibly 3. We don't know what we're doing.
We'll be talking about
67
Star Trek.
TNG episodes.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you a couple of options. We'll be talking about 2 Star Trek The Next Generation episodes. We'll be talking about 3 Star Trek The Next Generations episodes. We will not be doing anything as we are canceled.
This is like that.
We
Dana
regret to
Carvey bit.
inform you that the world has ended. Please be safe and be secure.
Thank you for listening while the
Save
world
yourselves
is
and your families. I, for one, welcome our new ant overlords.
I knew where the Defense Force game is coming out.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Okay.
Next time, we'll be talking about 2 DS9 episodes. Just in case this is our back pocket for a long damn time.
But anyway, so next time we'll be talking about 2 Star Trek The Next Generation episodes. First, we'll be talking about Liaisons, followed by Interface.
Bum, 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 bum,
All right, so
So it
that's
sounded
coming
like
up.
Strong Bad just then.
Yeah. That's going to be a good one.
Oh, yeah, no, classic,
That's
classic.
a classic episode.
Classic.
I've heard it hasn't aged well.
Well, yeah, indeed.
Unlike Patrick Stewart.
Yep.
It's true. He did age like a fine bottle of wine.
Strangely, one of the few episodes of TNG that Patrick Stewart does not appear in.
Yeah, weird.
Oh, weird.
Interesting. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's coming up next week. But until then, you can like and follow us on Twitter and Tumblr. And
Twitter.
our name there is SSHB Podcast. You can find us on Facebook. Just search for StarToSteerHerBy.com. No, SSHBpodcast.com. You can search for us on iTunes and Google and other tunes and friends. And our home on the web, on the internet, is SoundCloud.com. Search for Star to Steer Her By, or in your podcast zone app.
Yep. Did we introduce ourselves at the beginning?
We didn't.
Or were we too
We just kind of
careless about
we
talking
just
about
ran
We're
it?
straight
going to robo
into-
ourselves out.
insert it from another episode?
These
All right.
people don't give a
Otherwise
fuck who we
it's-
are. They just
All right.
heard some great
Well, so I think that's all we have.
RoboTalk.
So until next time, my name has been RoboJake.
Fuck. Yeah, you caught me off guard, you bastard. This has been Chris.
This has been Cyber Ames.
And this has been Andro Kate.
That means man-cate. Because Andro is
Well, I fucking don't tell you how to. Okay,
I
so
was trying to figure out how to like sort of combine my name and Clarence Boddicker, and I couldn't think of anything.
Oh no.
All right.
So I just gave. I'm sucking.
Could have just been
growth.
Chris Boddicker.
Ah, fuck.
I
Good night,
buy that
everybody.
for $1.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find it on Wikipedia. Gerber singles, they were called.
Gerber, but they called Gerber singles because they were guaranteeing you'd be fucking
I'll just
single
read you
forever.
the intro paragraph. So Gerber Singles was a failed product from 1974 by Gerber,
thank Christ it
a maker
failed.
of baby food. It was food in glass jars targeted to college students and adults living on their own for the first time. According to Business Insider, Gerber believed that there was a market for single-serving, ready-to-eat food similar to ready-made baby food. However, hoping the college students and other adults would purchase such foods if they were not labeled as baby food, Gerber developed their singles product. The fatal flaw and the reason for the product flop is that packages of meat mush didn't exactly scream cool to young singles.
Or fucking edible to anybody. Why?
Jesus.
Babies wouldn't fucking eat baby food if they understood what the fuck it was.
So
hold on, let me just get this last sentence. A 2012 show on ABC called put it in the top 10 failed ideas along with New Coke, and this is my favorite product I've ever read about, and Bic disposable underwear.
I mean, all underwear is disposable if you poop yourself.
What Bic? Wait, first, Bic, meaning like
the
people
pencil,
who make lighters.
Lighters and pencils and those guys.
What the fuck are they making underwear? Why?
Because they make everything. They're like Omni Consumer Products.
Yeah.
Okay, but like, who the fuck? I mean...
Ew.
Anyway, so Gerber Singles. Delish.